Hello everyone, welcome to the OnShape dashboard essentially. So I have a few things in my library of items here. However, most of you won't have anything. So I just want to detail what this looks like. So here we've got, recently opened, trash. Be aware that anything you make is publicly available, so someone can find it. The data is anonymized, but if you make something with like your full name and address, it may be an issue. So you definitely don't want to do that. However, odds are it's not gonna be prominently displayed anywhere. All right, so moving into OnShape, the first thing we want to do, we want to go up here to the Create button. We want to create a document. Obviously, if you're working on a really complicated list of stuff, you might want to put it into a folder. But let's just create a document for now. And we're just going to call this MDE intro. You can call it whatever you'd like, school appropriate, of course. And we'll create this public document. It's going to load us into our main menu here. So we've got a few things going on. So up top, we've got a toolbar. Most of these are 3D tools at this point. We've got our navigation cube, which I'm going to reference and use quite a bit. In here we've got our drawing area, our planes. We see we've got a front plane, a right plane, and a top plane. And as I get to their edges, you notice that they turn yellow. So it's actually easiest to select these by clicking on their edges. And over here on the left, we've got a browser window. And that essentially shows, so you can see as I hover over, say, top, the top plane in the drawing area gets highlighted. So I can actually select things through the browser as well. This is actually a key feature to be using here. So we definitely don't want to get rid of it. Don't close it, anything like that. And then down here we've got a few tabs. We want to stay in our Part Studio for now. Assembly gets into when we're putting parts together. So for now, ignore that. But if you're working on multiple parts in the same project, you'll be using those tabs as well. Everything with the software, for the most part, saves automatically. You don't need to click save or anything. However, it is helpful to give it time to save occasionally. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we want to do a sketch. We're going to focus primarily on two-dimensional drawing for this lesson. So we're going to look at really any of the planes will work for this. But I eventually want to make something 3D that goes up from the bottom. So we're going to start with the top plane. I'm going to just right-click on the top plane. I'm going to select New Sketch, which is right at the top here. There's a bunch of different options, but for now, New Sketch is all I need. And then you can see a frame has outlined. It says Sketch 1, so it's showing me where Sketch 1 is in relationship to the three-dimensional space. And if I take my view cube here and I click and hold, I can actually, I don't know why it's not doing that. I'm sorry, right-click and hold. I can actually move this around and all sorts of different things, but what I want to do is I want to view it from the top. So I'm going to click on top, left click. Should work, there we go. So now I know where I'm drawing in three-dimensional space. That's actually a really critical thing, is to understand where your drawing is going, what plane is it attached to. So right now we know Sketch 1 is coplanar with our top plane. And now we can start sketching. And you'll see up here, all of our toolbars have changed because we're in two-dimensional sketch mode. So we've got creation tools here, starting here with a line and moving over to spline and circle and arc and polygons. So you can do inscribed polygons, you can do circumscribed polygons. Basically, you make a circle and either the polygon goes on the outside of the circle or on the inside of the circle. That's the difference there. Some text. Projecting, converting, we'll talk about that. Fillet, that's rounding off corners. And any of these, if you hover over them, they give you a series of directions. And then the shortcut keys, trim, that's a good one. That's one that you'll use a lot. Offset, mirror, array. This one calls it linear pattern, but in AutoCAD it's called array. It's a similar thing. This is like importing files. Dimensioning, we'll be doing a bit of that. And then these are what are called constraints. So from here down, coincident, concentric, parallel, tangent, horizontal, vertical. These are all constraints, so that sort of locks things into place. We'll have a separate video on those. But for now, we just want to get a little dangerous, so to speak. So we're going to draw essentially a house where it's my apologies, the phone rang. So like I said, we're going to draw something to some semblance of a rough house shape. We're going to take a square or rectangle and then tangentially join a circle to it and trim it up and make it to a specific dimension. So I'll start with my rectangle. We'll just click on the rectangle tool up here, and I'm just going to click and drag, and you can see it's giving me dimensions, and those will stay there, and I can adjust them as I go. So if I wanted, let's say I wanted this dimension to change to, say I wanted this line to be a certain size, I could click dimension, and I could click that line, and I could tell it you're going to be, let's say, 4 inches. And then this line, I can do the same thing. We're going to make this, let's say, 5 inches. I'll just type 5 and hit enter on the keyboard. You see it automatically adjusts. Now, one of the things that I do prefer to do as I'm working in 2 dimensions in any 3D design program is I like to center things up about the origin, because it's just going to make mirroring and any other 3-dimensional features that we want to make a lot easier. Plus, we know our distance, so we'll be able to know the distance from here to here. So we're going to click on our origin, we're going to click to this edge, and it's going to develop a dimension. And again, I clicked the dimension tool, and that just kind of keeps going until I hit escape and tell it, don't do this anymore. And half of 4, because again, we want this centered up, half of 4 is 2. You can see I actually guessed really well. So we're close, so it's just going to shift a little bit. And so that's our left to right dimension. Then we just want to constrain vertically as well. So half of 5 is 2.5. Now we have our rectangle centered about the origin. And now we can add a circle. So I'm just going to find the midpoint of this, and we're just going to snap it into place. And it's already dimensioned because it's related. We've created a relationship between our rectangle. So now I'm just going to start cleaning out these excess lines. So we'll come in, we'll use the trim tool. So I'll click that, and we just kind of click little bits of line that we no longer want. And basically the trim tool, the way that it works is that any line segment it'll take out. So the way we create a line segment, so here we've got 3 separate line segments that I just drew. It acts as one, however, any intersection in the line will create a line segment. So I can now come in with the trim tool. I can actually just remove individual line segments here. So that's a key tool for us. And again, I can dimension this. Let's give it a radius, why not? All right, and then we lost our reference here, so we're just going to add our reference dimension back there, because we don't want to stretch and move things. You see, once things are locked down, they turn black instead of blue. All right, so that's essentially the real basics of getting started with sketching. There's quite a bit more we can do, and we'll get into that in a minute, but that's just kind of how to get started in a nutshell. We will finish sketch 1 by clicking this green checkbox, and you can see if we hold right click on our view cube, we can see how our sketch is now in 3-dimensional space. Thank you.